Do you worry about your stuffed animal's feelings or other objects' feelings? We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist and I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. Today I want to talk to you about something that is really common that I've seen in my practice time and time again. And that is when you really worry that you're going to hurt your stuffed animal's feelings or other objects' feelings. Do you have that? Do you worry? Oh my gosh, I don't want them to be home alone. Or oh my gosh, I don't want to throw this out. It's been so kind to me. We're going to talk all about that. But before we get started, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notified when I make new videos, which is every Thursday. Okay, let's talk about this. So you might say, well, Natasha, why is that a problem? I mean, stuffed animals are meant to be loved and hugged on, and cute little objects are meant to be adored or are well taken care of. Or you might even say, yeah, I take really good care of my stuff. I take care of it. It takes care of me. What's the big deal? And for a lot of people, it isn't a big deal, right? It's nice to have that one favorite stuffed animal or maybe a sea of them. And it doesn't matter what age you are. I could be talking to you and you could be 5 or 6, or I could be talking to you and you could be 26. It doesn't matter, right? We all love what we love. But when you have anxiety or OCD, sometimes it can kind of get out of control because anxiety and OCD will look for anything that it can kind of bug you about. And sometimes it will bug you about the things that you love the most or the objects you love the most. And a lot of people have superpowers when they have anxiety and OCD. And one of those superpowers is having a huge, wonderful, big heart. They love things. I love things, right? I love deeply. I am caring. You're probably caring because that is one of the side dish superpowers of having anxiety or OCD is that we have, for the most part, really big hearts. Unfortunately, anxiety or OCD can take advantage of that. And it can say, if you have such a big heart, you really should care about that little object or that little stuffed animal. Look at it. It's looking at you. Well, this becomes a problem when you are over worrying about it. And so when you're not around your objects or your stuffed animal, you think, how's my stuff doing? Are they feeling okay? Right? You start to give feelings to things that don't exist. Because your objects and your stuffed animals, as much as we want to personify them, do you know what personify means? Right? We want to make them real. They are still objects. They're made out of cotton and plastic and sewing material and glass, all sorts of just industrial equipment has made the objects that you're caring about and that you're giving a personality to. Sometimes we don't want to think that way because we think, no, my stuffed animal's not plastic and cotton and fluff, but it is. And the reason why it's important to recognize that your objects were made in a factory and they are just materials is because of what anxiety and OCD can do with that. And I've seen this happen in my practice where people are not able to go to work or go to school or go hang out with their friends because they're so worried about how their stuffed animals or objects are doing. It can go even one step further. You might worry about what's going to happen if I'm not here? What's going to happen if I die? What's going to happen if I move away? What's going to happen if I go on a trip? I need to pack all of my objects and stuffed animals with me because who's going to take care of them? I have had people I've worked with in my practice who bring them in the car. They bring them into the sessions. They bring them wherever they go. I have had lots of people I've worked with where they can't throw anything away. If it has a cute face on it, or if it has some meaning to it, if they're worried that the object that they have, is going to feel pain or feel hurt if they give it away, they want to hold on to it. And in the beginning, that may not be a problem because you're young and you have the space. But imagine what that's going to look like as you get older and older and older. How many objects, how many stuffed animals are you going to not be able to throw away? How many stuffed animals and objects are going to become your baby? It becomes a burden. And like anything else with anxiety and OCD, we want to confront that in the beginning. We want to nip it in the bud. We want to face it head on. So regardless of whether you are just starting to have these issues or you've been having them for a long time, let's talk about what to do. So the first thing to do is intellectually, now we can't really rationalize with OCD, but intellectually it is good to remind yourself that these objects are not alive. As much as we want them to be alive, they are not alive. And so part of the work that we have to do is helping your brain realize that, let anxiety and OCD unhook from the guilt and the pain that it wants you to feel around these stuffed animals and objects. There's nothing wrong with being sentimental. Sentimental meaning they have significance and meaning and good memories and good feelings. That's fine. But if I'm worried how I'm placing my stuffed animal because I don't want to hurt its legs, or I have to worry about how I'm rolling around when I'm sleeping because I don't want to crush it, now we've got a problem, right? Now it's not doing what it was supposed to be doing, which is providing you comfort and bringing you joy and happiness. That's what objects and stuffed animals are meant to do. And now it's becoming a living creature that you have to take care of. That was never the purpose of stuffed animals or toys or objects. So the second thing, once you realize intellectually, and maybe you already do this, that it's not real, it's made out of cotton or plastic, look up, if you need to, look up the object's materials. What is this made out of? What is polyester? What is, I don't know, there's all sorts of objects and materials that are used to make these things, but look them up or watch a video on how things are made. That might be interesting. Now, if you're like, Natasha, I know it's not real. I don't need to look up the materials. I get it, but my OCD doesn't care. Of course it doesn't, because OCD is not rational, right? And so the next step is to do what I call, and what the world calls, are exposures. So exposures are like challenges. There's things that you do that go against your anxiety or OCD. They make anxiety or OCD uncomfortable. And so what can you do for this type of issue? Well, it may seem cruel if you have a big heart and you think your objects are real, but the first tiny step is you want to start taking little steps towards pushing back on anxiety and OCD. So if the intrusive thought, right, is these are real, you're going to hurt their feelings, or you're going to hurt them, or you're going to abandon them, whatever that upsetting, intrusive thought is, we want to push back on it. That's what we do with anxiety or OCD. We push back and we say, oh, you're trying to make me feel upset about that? Well, I'm actually going to do that, and I'm going to upset you. So what are some small steps that you can do that move in that direction? I'll give you some ideas, and some of them might feel overwhelming, but you don't have to do these right away. You just want to move in this direction. And so the first thing you might do, if it's all too overwhelming, is you might role play and say something mean to your object or stuffed animal. They don't have feelings. They're not going to hear you. They're not going to be disappointed in you, right? And so I might say, you're a horrible stuffed animal. Look how ugly you are. I might say all these things that I don't feel because I want to push back on my anxiety and OCD. So that's one exposure where you can say mean things to your objects and sit with the discomfort that is going to bring you. The next step is you might mistreat your objects. And so you might want to start off with maybe just not placing them in that perfect position if that's what you do. You might have them throw them on the floor. Or if that's too hard for you, you might just move its arm in an uncomfortable position. Or if it's not a stuffed animal or an object that's actually a thing, you might take your object or your toy and put it in the freezer. Or as you get braver, you might put it in the garage or do something that your anxiety or OCD says, oh, no, you can't do that, right? You don't want to push yourself over the edge where you feel so uncomfortable that you're panicking, but you want to move into that slightly uncomfortable place where I just did something and it doesn't feel that great. You'd say, Natasha, why would I want to treat my stuffed animals or my objects poorly? That's the opposite of what this problem is. Well, exactly. The problem is wanting you to take care of all these things. And we always want to do the opposite or move away from the thing that anxiety and OCD wants you to do. So by doing these things that make your anxiety or OCD uncomfortable, you start to learn how to handle the discomfort that the thoughts bring you. So when anxiety or OCD whispers, what's going to happen when you're away? What's going to happen when you die? What's going to happen when you travel? What's going to happen when you're at work or at school? Who's going to take care of these objects? Then you can say, you know what? It's okay. They're just objects. I can sit with the discomfort of knowing that it doesn't matter, right? It's going to make me feel really anxious and uncomfortable, but I'm going to sit with that Because the more I give in to those thoughts, the more I start to accommodate and say, okay, anxiety or OCD wants me to think about a plan of what I can do with these objects or these stuffed animals. Anxiety and OCD want me to bring them with me, or they want me to make sure they're all in a good position before I leave, or maybe I have to collect all these things and I can't throw them away. And so my house is full of objects that I think are really important and have feelings and are going to get hurt or upset if I donate them, or if I throw them in the trash, even worse. But when I learn that that's a vicious cycle that's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until it disrupts my life, and it does, and it can, then I'm going to learn how to sit with discomfort and not do those things. And I know that's hard, and I know that seems almost impossible for some of you, but just take one small step at a time. Do the role play, see if you can do that, or write a mean letter to your object, and then move from there, putting it in uncomfortable positions and places, and work up the ladder so that you can learn how to sit with the discomfort. Because I guarantee you, if you don't do those things, that nagging voice in your head is going to grow bigger, and nobody wants that. So I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.